This segment is all about selling your business in today's economy. Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial, and this segment's brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. Joining me on this segment is Eric Hill. He's a senior broker at Business Acquisitions. Eric, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Mark. Happy to be here.
Eric, tell us a little bit about your work and specifically let us know who are the types of clients that you really specialize in helping.
Yeah, so I am a business broker. So if you're going to go sell a house, you go to a realtor. If you sell business, you come to me. And I've been doing this for about almost 3 years now. But prior to that, I've had my own businesses that I built up and sold. And it was in that Denver cop, kind of in the middle of that, so a little bit eclectic. But the business owners I typically work with are companies with revenue anywhere between, on the low side, maybe 2 million up to 50 or 60 million. It kind of really depends on the company. But we're selling companies in the lower middle market, which we kind of consider ones that are going to sell for maybe on the low side 500,000 up to about 20 million.
Gotcha. Eric, these business owners, they're great at growth, but how much time do they really put into the thought of selling it when it's time to sell? Do they really even know where to start, or what do you hear from them?
No, and that is the problem I run into more often than not. The vast majority of the time when I talk to a business owner, they're like, okay, I'm thinking about selling my business. I'm ready to sell it. And I'm like, hold on a minute, how much thought have you really put into it? Because it really is, it's a process. And there's so many things that an owner might not think about prior to selling, that some issues they might run into that are really going to devalue the business, or a lot of times even make it unsellable, to be honest with you.
Can you kind of unwrap that a little bit and tell us, like, what are some of the big areas, maybe one or two big areas that make a sabotage the success of a sale of a business?
Absolutely. So I can tell you the first one, it happened to me this morning on a phone call where the gentleman is, honestly, he's run a good business for 20 years. It makes good money, but he is his business at this point. So if you're running a business where you're so wrapped up into it that it can't separate from you, you're going to have trouble selling that. So, if you're somebody who say you can't take a 2-week vacation without things coming back and they're just a hot mess, you're running into trouble. Or if there's no processes in the business. So, I mean, everything kind of flows through you. So I would say that's the big one I run into more often than not, is just you are your business and it can't run without you. So if it can't run without you, it can't separate without you.
As you mentioned at the top of the call, when people want to sell their house, they call a realtor, and typically they're like, "Okay, it's time to sell," and they can sell their house like in about 30 to 45 days. But
Right?
what's the timeline for a business? How long do they really need to prepare to do it properly?
Yeah. So, we tell people you could get lucky and it could sell, from listing to closing in 6 months. But more realistically, it tends to take, I tell people expect for at least 9 months to, maybe 15 months or even 18 months. Because it is a process. Not only do you have to get it out there and market it, you have to find that right buyer. It's just, you're not going to sell it to just anybody, because you care about your company and your employees. So you're going to go out there and you're going to find that right buyer and vet that buyer out. And then if they decide that they want to make an offer and put an LOI in the business, then you've got a due diligence period, which can last anywhere from 30 to 60 days, or sometimes even a little bit longer. And then you've got to close it. So it really is a process. And it's not something that can just happen like that, like the housing market.
Eric, since many business owners aren't really familiar with the process of selling the business, if this is like oftentimes the first time they're doing it, when they reach out to you, have you found that they have any big, glaring, common like myths or misconceptions that are in their minds?
Absolutely. The number one is always going to be what your business is worth. So, most people, your business has been good to you. It's given you a good lifestyle, but chances are your business isn't worth quite what you think it is. So that's where it's really important to talk to a broker or learn the process well before selling. Sometimes at least 1 to maybe even 3 years, because it's possible that you could get your business up to a value where you think it is, but most likely, where you're standing today, it's not quite what you think. But there are many things, sometimes simple things that can be done in that 1 to 3 years to really elevate that value and get you out where you want to go.
Sage advice. What inspired you to get into this business and help owners, sell their businesses? How did you get started?
Yeah. So, like I said, I've had three of my own businesses. I've sold two. I've shut down one. So two very successful, one just not quite so much. But so part of it was kind of just a natural step for me. Since I've been it and I've been on both sides of it, I've come close to buying a few businesses over the years. So I understand what that process is. But for me, it was really difficult because my experience with brokers in selling those businesses was not great. It was very transactional, and it was very much let's just get to a closing and make a payday. So it was difficult. So for me, small business has been so wonderful to me that I wanted to be able to be good back to it. And I love my job of talking to business owners, advising them, helping them understand what it's like, and then walking through that roller coaster. Because when you go to sell your business, it is personal, it's emotional, and it can be really hard to go through that without somebody that you can trust and that really knows how to not just get maximum value, but how to keep you sane through the process. So, that's something I feel passionate about. And, once I stepped into this role, I just realized it was a perfect fit.
Before I ask you my last question, Eric, is there anything that I didn't think to ask you regarding selling a business today that you feel is really important to share with business owners that are considering it?
A couple quick things. I think one, if you're nearing retirement age and you're thinking about retiring and selling your business, the first thing to realize is you're not alone. The generation reaching retirement age right now, the baby boomers, there are more businesses that are going to be going on the market within the next few years than there's ever been. So there's a lot that's going to be out there. But the kind of sobering thing to go along with that is that only about 30% of businesses that are listed actually sell. I mean, that you can get a lot of different opinions on what that is, but it's typically between 25 and 35. Either way, that's pretty sobering. So thinking ahead and planning and getting things right prior to a sale it's just paramount. And I can't stress it enough how important it is to think about it and plan for it and have an exit plan well before you actually get there.
Terrific. For business owners listening right now who would love to speak with you, how can they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
Yes. So my email is ehill. So it's EHILL at BALTD.com. That's a great place to email me. You can message me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on there. Or go to my website. EricScottHill.com is a pretty easy place to reach me. And I'd love to give you advice or just explain the process at the very least and help you along.
This has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time to share with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
That was Eric Hill, Senior Broker at Business Acquisitions. And this segment was brought to you by BooksGrowBusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.